Hey guys, and welcome back to Unified Gaming. Now today I'm going to share with you my Magicka Warden PvP build called the Resistor. Now this is a really strong PvP build that I use both in Cyrodiil with CP and no CP. I use it in duels and I use it in battlegrounds. You'll see obviously in the clips and some of the screenshots kind of what it's capable of doing, and you'll also see the stats as well. Now obviously for me this is probably the strongest Magicka Warden build that I've been able to make to date. I've gone through about 15 setups or so, and obviously I've been maining a Magicka Warden for 3 years at least, basically since it came out. Now obviously this build is incredibly flexible, letting you obviously switch kind of your content by changing maybe a glyph or two, or maybe just your monster set, and that's about it. Now obviously this build has been developed over 3 years, and it was finalised about 3 or 4 patches ago. And since then I've tried to make sort of incremental updates and tweaks and changes to it, but I haven't been able to improve it. And as such, I think it's sort of about time I kind of release it. Obviously, this will let you do damage, be a great healer, and just really be a great asset to your team. Now, if you do enjoy these kind of videos, then obviously like and subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you stay up to date. And if you would like us to feature any other content or a new build or class, then obviously drop a comment below. Now, let's jump right in. So, class-wise, obviously, is Warden. Now, race-wise, we are, in fact, a High Elf. Now, a High Elf is generally the best option for this, because obviously you get more max stats, and you also get more spell damage. You also get the spell recharge, which obviously gives you more stand management, which is really helpful. And this really synergizes well with some of the passives that the Warden have with extra stand management. So you just have really high stand management for a Magicka character. So really worth running. Now obviously you could use a Breton, and this will give you slightly better sustain, but your damage is weaker. So I found that the High Elf honestly was probably the best, and I did go to Breton and then the race changed back because I didn't like it. The damage difference was really noticeable, and the sustain wasn't really any better. You just change a glyph and you got the same sustain as a Breton, but you got more damage. So yeah, High Elf personally is the best option for a Magicka Warden. Now obviously this is a single target build, and it's designed for group play. I use this obviously solo as well, and this works absolutely fine in solo, and I make some tweaks as well to the skills and to go from sort of Cyrodiil to BGs, or from sort of Cyrodiil group play to Cyrodiil solo play, or even BG solo play. So really versatile with kind of what you can do with the skills to make this kind of a jack of all trades build, which is why I really like this build, and I think it's one of the best ones that I've created to date. So we're now going to look at the skills. So on the front bar we have the following skills. Again, I'm going to talk about kind of where they are and why they're there. So we obviously got Corrupt and Pollen. This is our AoE defile. Okay, so when you chuck it down, people who stand aside to get hit with defile. Now I use this and I pair this with Permafrost. Now I have experimented with Northern Storm, and Northern Storm it gives you higher damage basically, but the downside is the damage bonus you get on all your tooltips, so it's about 200 to 300 to tooltip, so in all honesty it's not that much extra damage. Now having the AoE stun when you play in a group, or even by yourself, is so much better, so highly recommend having this, because what you can do is go Shulks, put on your Permafrost, and then put down this, and when they're about to get stunned, then obviously they're laying on the floor, you can then do another Shulks and keep hitting them with obviously the Shotgun Reach, and that will just obviously make them die really fast because they can't heal because they've got so much defile on them. So really good skill for group play. You can change this however. Obviously we're using Deep Fissure. This is a stable for Magicka Wardens. When this is buffed up fully, this goes up to almost 17,000, and if you get obviously some buffs from allies and so on, it goes to like 18 to 19k. It's disgusting considering how tanky we are. I'm using obviously Shock Reach. This can go up to 10,000 when I'm fully buffed up. Bird of Prey, this is obviously a movement buff, but it's also mainly for the Minor Berserk, as well as the Animal Companions passives, so just extra damage. Blue Betty on the front bar, and obviously this is our sustain, and also a Purge, which is really nice. Now I use this on the front bar because if you go into Animal Companions, you do obviously have a passive called Advanced Species, and by having it on the front bar, it just gives us a little bit more damage than if it was on the back bar. You do, however, lose out on the recovery on the back bar, but we generally go on the back bar when we are really defensive, so it's not that much of a loss in all honesty. So I prefer having Blue Betty in the front bar, because you can obviously, as you run around, you can just spam it, because you're a little heal, very small heal, but it also gives you a cleanse, get rid of like dots and stuff, and next patch in Scalebreaker is going to be really helpful, having that sort of ability to get rid of things like Soul Trap and Entropy. Now for the back bar, I'm using obviously Ice Fortress, Harness Magicka. I don't use a proxy tech for this setup, I actually do use Nature's Embrace. So Nature's Embrace, so now for the back bar skills, I'm using Ice Fortress. Staple of Magicka Warden, it's obviously Armour, plus it's also Minor Protection, so yeah, run this. Harness Magicka, Sustain is brilliant, it's definitely worth running. This can go up to almost like 9k shield when you're fully buffed and stuff, it's really good. Nature's Embrace, really good heal over time. This goes up to 30k, and if you get continuous and courage from allies, it can go up to like 35, 36k, so really, really good skill. And it heals both you and the person that you're with, so really good for duo play. Shimmer and Shield, you do need to run this, there's no option, really. If you don't have this, you're probably going to find survivability harder in open world, especially sort of 1vx. This obviously makes you immune to range damage, and it also gives you Magicka back, plus it gives you Major Heroism, so really worth running. Live in Trellis, good heal over time. This is way better than the other morph of this, Leech and Vines, because the heal from this is obviously bigger, but the burst heal is nice because you can spam it. So when you recast it, because the heal, obviously the effect has ended, it then gives you the burst heal, so you can use this as your burst heal. Whereas leaving Leech and Vines you can't, so it just makes it really clunky. And then for group play I run Healing Thicket. Now as a Magicka Warden, you got pretty much a free slot on the back bar for your ultimate. So if you wanted to have a bit more max Magicka, you could put Feral Guardian here and never use it. But what this will do is it will give you a bit more extra regen, because we now have this passive active. Is it Flourish? There it is. So this is now active on the back bar too. So it gets a little bit more sustain. You can have that there if you want. What you could have, and you get slightly less sustain, but you could go down to support, you could actually run Barrier. And obviously because of the Magicka raid, you get 10% when this is maxed. And that would obviously give you sort of 10% extra Magicka regen, plus it's a decent ultimate, so that's something you could possibly use if you would like. You could obviously go with Sword and Shield ult. I don't actually use it, to be honest, it's not needed, but you could go with that, it's really good. You could use a Restoration Staff and use Panacea, and then obviously morph it to Life Giver, I think it is, which obviously gives you all these skills down here. So there's lots of options for this back bar ult, so kind of find what you would like. Bats, it's not really worth using bats, so because you've got Permafrost. Permafrost is major protection, damage and it stuns people, so this is better than bats. It's a similar sort of price, especially next patch. Next patch bats is going to be more expensive. Now obviously that's all the skills. I'm going to go through and just show you a different couple of variants, so you obviously can mix it up yourself, and that's kind of what I do with this build, which is why I think it's so sort of versatile. Front bar, you could change the Corrupting Pollen to Fletcher Infection. That gives you obviously a damage over time ability, really nice, so you could use that. You could use Cliff Racer if you don't have the Master's Lightning Staff, which I'm using. Obviously lots of you probably worked that out already. So you could change that. You could go with Inner Light from Mage Guild. This works really well because obviously it gives you just more max Magicka, and it gives you the spell crit. So that's really worth having. The spell crit is obviously more damage. So this will hit really, really hard. What you can also do is you can change this, and what you can do is actually put Nature's Embrace on the front bar, and you can use it to help get you around the battlefield, and then on your back bar you put something like Lotus Blossom on the back bar. What this will do, this will give you Major Prophecy when it's active, so you can cast this, switch to your front bar, which means you've got the crit buff still. So there's a lot of flexibility there. If you want to obviously have a more sort of AoE build, and you want to sort of do bombing almost, I normally put Pulsar on B. I then run Inner Light on obviously my X, I don't actually have to use it, and I run this as my bar. On the back bar, I'd swap my B skill out and I'd run Proximity Depth. And this will allow you to do bombing. Again, the ultimate on the back bar can be whatever you like, so you get to pick that yourself. And what you do with this setup is you just simply go bomb, buffs, ultimate, spam pulse, and you run into people when they get stunned. Now when we look at the armour, and the armour setup that I've got here is probably the best that I've found since playing Warden. I've tried so many different setups, as I've mentioned already, but this is what works best for me. It's a jack of all trades. I can't tweak it enough to make it warranted. So if I change the max Magicka, I lose too much on the armour. If I change the sustain, I lose too much on the damage. It's kind of perfect in all honesty for how I want it to feel and play. So yeah, Master's Lightning Staff. I use a weapon damage glyph. If you do not have a Master's Lightning Staff, you can run a Wall Power Staff. If you want for an AoE build, obviously you can keep the Wall Power Staff, or you can use the Black Rose Staff as well. And that's kind of what you can do with here, okay? So that's the only thing that generally changes. The rest of this is pretty much the same. Weapon damage glyph on the front bar. This obviously gives you bigger heals, bigger tooltips, also more damage. So weapon damage glyph is better. Nirnhoned as well. For the back bar, use Armour Master, Sword and Shield. Now the glyph on the sword can be whatever you want. You can use a poison, it's up to you. You can use the Escapist poison, really good poison. Shield wise, you obviously want max Magicka on the shield and impenetrable. The max Magicka will make your damage shield, so like your harness Magicka, slightly bigger because you've got more max Magicka in the back bar. I then use bloodspawn, and I put tri-stat on all the big pieces, so head, chest and legs, and I have full impen throughout. Bloodspawn is probably the best armor monster set you can get. It's just really good stamina sustain, really good armor, because also you get really good ult gen as well. And the armor is generally up all the time, so you pretty much have about an 80% uptime of this, if not higher, in most fights, so this is a really good set to have. Now I have used Pirate Skeleton, that was really disgusting, and I've got clips where I've got like 10 people trying to kill me, and I've got like 3 or 4 ults trying to hit me at once and don't die, because it's just so much mitigation. So yeah, Pirate Skeleton is really good, but next patch it is being nerfed sadly, so you can't use that anymore. Chest wise, I use obviously heavy chest and medium legs, because I've got undaunted passives on this. Again, tri-stat in pen throughout. I then pair this with necropotence. Now necropotence is the best max Magicka set you can get in the game, and on top of that it's probably the best damage set you can get for the Warden, because obviously the Warden's Blue Betty is free to cast, and then obviously you can proc necropotence and there's just loads of damage. I put max Magicka on all the small pieces, so that's the legs, the hands, the waist, the shoulders. Now for the jewelry I use arcane on everything. I have experimented with bloodthirsty, I've also experimented with protective, also experimented with having arcane and changing just the glyph so it's not a regen, it's a spell damage, so I've got lots of flexibility here. I use triple regen, and that works really well because of Armour stone. Now I've tried obviously having a 2 spell damage and changing Armour stone. I've also tried with protective, as I've said, so I've got 2 protective here. With the changes to protective next patch, it's not worth running anymore, so I'll just recommend sticking with Armour Master and Bloodspawn. This makes you ridiculously tanky. 30 odd K resistances on a light armour build is disgusting. With 40k max Magicka and 2.5k spell damage, you hit really hard. You got really good sustain, almost 2k sustain. So kind of this is a really good setup. For our Munderstone and our consumables now, we obviously use tri-stat food. Now any tri-stat food is good, but it's going to be 150 to 160. Tri-stat food is obviously what you want. For our poisons and potions and stuff, you can obviously use tri-stat. You can use just trash potions. I generally use trash ones, to be honest. You could use the immovability potions that give you obviously CC immunity and max Magicka back plus health, so they're really good too. As for our Munderstone, obviously I use the Atronach, also a vampire as well. Now when you use obviously this setup, if you want to go into battlegrounds, you simply run 3 regen, so this was because I was in battlegrounds. If you want to go into PvP Cyrodiil, you swap one of these for a spell damage. So we're now on Cyrodiil PvP. That's how simple as it is. What you can do is, if you don't want to do that, you just keep your triple regen and just change your Munderstone if you want. I found the sweet spot for the Magical Warden is about 1600 regen. Anywhere from 16 to 1800 regen is really good regen. Anything below that is a bit iffy and it's a bit hard to sustain. Now for the CP, and then again this CP has taken me ages to refine. This is the best setup that I found on this spec. 56 in Warlord, 19 in Sprinter, 1 in Siphoner. The 1 in Siphoner is just to make sure that templates have something else to purge. That's literally it. 49 in Arcanist, 49 in Mooncalf, 23 in Tenacity. This obviously gives us wind running, which is more regen when we move, plus more movement speed, which you need in Cyrodiil outnumbered PvP. 44 in Shadow Ward and 29 in Tumbling. We mainly block because you've got a sword and shield to obviously reduce our damage taken. For the front bar, and for the damage bit, sorry, I use 46 acceleration. This is optimised. 46 is the jump point with light armour. So if you have light armour, you have 46. This obviously gives you 13%. And if you add on the spell breach, which is another 8%, you get like 21% spell penetration. Or armour penetration is really good. So it gives you just loads of armour. You've got about 15k spell penetration in total. So 46 is the jump point. The other jump point is 35. I use 56 in Elemental Expert, 56 in Elfborn, and then 15 in Bless because they'll spare. You can put them wherever you like though. 66 in Master at Arms, 31 in Thaumaturge, and that's only to buff our Permafrost. You could move these out of here and put them into anywhere else you like, but I found that was just nice because it made our Permafrost a bit more impactful. For our red ones, we use 61 in Ironclad, 44 in Resistant, 43 in Hardy, 43 in Elemental Defender, 52 in Thick Skinned, 27 in Quick Recovery. Now you can, if you want to change some of these, you can move these down to 37, 37. You can move this down to 56, and you can obviously move this down to 5% 19, and then put all of them into Bastion, and this will give you a much larger shield. So that's the other option too. And that is my Magicka Warden build, guys. It's very versatile. It's probably the most enjoyable build that I've played in a very long time on the Elder Scrolls. The only one that was probably more fun was the Necromancer build, sorry, with the Soul Bones and the Frozen Colossus. They were really fun to play because the Necro has a really good feel to it. But this is just so versatile. It does everything you want. So with that said, we'll look at our last section now, which obviously sort of tips, tricks, skill level, that kind of stuff. Okay. So obviously, what does this build do? Well, the one thing I can say is this build kind of does everything you want. It mainly specialises in AoE damage though. So obviously, because you've got obviously an AoE ult and an AoE burst ability, the AoE damage is really good. Having access to AoE defile means this is a very good just AoE spec. So highly recommend using this for sort of group play for AoE build. If you want to play sort of solo though, you obviously will need to change some of the skills and have more single target damage. So that's where obviously things like the Cliff Racer is really good. You could even use Force Pulse. I did have a combo before which you can use, and it works for Fire Staff, where if you get Dawnbreaker as well, you can actually use an Inferno Staff. You can actually land a heavy attack, Shulks, Clench, Force Pulse and Dawnbreaker all at the same time. And so there's loads of like versatility with this. It's just really versatile. So the Warden's kind of really good for that. This build's really good for letting you kind of mix it up, and that's what it specialises in. It's responsive and it's adaptive to the group's needs. If your group is lacking AoE damage, whack on AoE damage skills. If your group is lacking healing, put on loads of heal skills. You've got really good healing skills as a Warden. If your group is lacking mobility issues, because obviously you're being snared, you can then counter snare the other team with gripping shards with an ice staff. So the Warden kind of has everything you want. It's one of those classes that's kind of a jack of all but master of none. So kind of it can do everything, but it's not particularly specialised in one thing other than AoE damage. So that's kind of what I'm going to say with that. As for skill level and that sort of stuff, this is a hard build to play in all honesty. It looks easy to play in the footage, it looks easy to do, but having played all of the other classes, it's really hard to land everything that you need to do. When you get it right, it's really, really effective and really easy. But it's got a kind of a steep learning curve, because a lot of times people will misland the Deep Fissure. A lot of times people will misland the Deep Fissure, or they'll misland the stun and get the stun at the wrong time. A lot of times people will forget to animation cancel the stun when they need to, and then only get one in, so you won't get the burst in that you need. So this isn't so much of a just pick up and run with it straight away. You will need to play with it a little bit in duels. Now with that said, I'm going to call it there, guys. I'm going to jump off. I know this is a slightly longer build video, but so this is the best PvP Warden that I've been able to make to date. Now obviously when the video comes out, it will have a name for the build. I haven't named it yet, still deciding on names for this. But if you do enjoy the video, then obviously like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'm going to catch you in the next one, guys. So thanks for watching, take care, Dan signing off. Bye.